Well, hey there, this is Attorney Michael Goldstein, one of the founders of law firm Ignite. And today we are going to go through a training essentially on how do you get found in some of the LLMs, the large language models, including ChatGPT, Perplexity, Copilot, even Google AI overviews. So really what we're going to talk about is essentially, the different ways people are searching and what you need to do specifically. So why does AEO matter? That's really the big question. And the answer is very simple. AEO matters simply because there is a paradigm shift in the way that people are searching on Google, on their AI platforms, asking real questions and looking for real answers. So rather than search engine optimization, we really want to concentrate now on answer engine optimization. So in terms of how people are searching, really what they're doing now is very simple. Is everyone now has the phone, right? They pick it up, they start talking to it. Everybody these days has an Alexa on their desk in almost every room of their house and in their office. Everybody has got in their car, they've either got Siri or they've got something that is they are communicating with and they're having real conversations with, they're asking questions. So because of that, people are going to ChatGPT and they want to know, how do I stop a foreclosure on my house that's happening tomorrow? Or maybe they're going to go to Copilot and they're going to ask, who's the best bankruptcy lawyer in Greenbelt, Maryland? And they're looking for a list. They're not looking for, well, to find a good bankruptcy lawyer, you want to ask for their reviews. No, they just want to, who the heck should I call? Who should I talk to? And the AIs are going to give that to them. Or even better, they're going to go to Perplexity. Perplexity is a real big one right now, guys, because if you have a PayPal account, you not only can use Perplexity's free AI search, but you can actually get their paid subscription at no charge for a year with PayPal. And Perplexity searches live, and it's actually one of the easier AI platforms to optimize for, which is even more important. And they might ask them like, will I lose my house if I file bankruptcy? And Perplexity is going to give them an answer that's going to be scraped from various websites that it's found. And then it's going to give a citation to where it got that information and a direct link to the page where that information came from. So a lot better than Google, what it used to just give you a sentence and then 10 blue links. This is actually giving you a full answer and then where each of the parts of the answer is coming from. And that's why it's so important to optimize for answer engine optimization these days. So let's look a little bit at Google because we talked about the LLMs, but Google really is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, or at least it used to be. I like to say Google's gone on a little bit of a diet with all the advent of all the emerging AI tech, and now it's the 650-pound gorilla. But we still need to think about Google first and foremost. So Google is really favoring something called featured snippets and getting you into what's called zero click or position zero. So what that means simply is this, that I now ask a question to Google and, I'm not just saying bankruptcy lawyer near me or foreclosure defense attorney. I might be asking, can a bankruptcy stop a foreclosure in Greenbelt, Maryland? I'm going to use a full-fledged thought. And what Google's going to do is it's going to look at all the websites that it believes is authoritative, it's trustworthy and relevant. It's going to find information on those sites. It's going to extract it and give the full answer with a link. So this is actually an example of a client of ours in Greenbelt, Maryland, the Phillips Law Office. Now, this is not a huge law practice with 15, 20 attorneys doing 8, 9 figures. This is a single solo practice attorney who has been able to compete with the big guys in the field, simply be able to compete with people in Baltimore, be able to compete with people in Washington, D.C. because they're sharp in this area. People do not want any longer to click on those 10 blue links and then have to scroll through and hunt for the information they want. They want it served to them on a silver platter. We are living in an era of instant gratification. I don't think I need to tell you that. You know that. Nobody wants to do any work anymore. So essentially, we need to do two things really. If we want to be found in the Google AI overviews, we want to be found in ChatGPT and Perplexity and the like, we need to stop telling people what we want them to know. And instead, we have to answer the questions they actually have, right? And by doing that, you are going to become the trusted source. The more times you answer questions and the more questions that you're able to answer, the more that you are going to be cited. And honestly, people are not ready to contact you the first time they see you. They're not ready to contact anyone the first time they see them. But if your name pops up time and time again, and it pops up in Perplexity and in ChatGPT and in Grok and in Manus and in Claude and on Google and on Bing, what happens is you have that omnipresence, and people, as they're seeing you in all these different places, start to realize you are pretty legitimate. You certainly know what you're talking about. And people have this insane trust of AI results, which is crazy if you think about how easy it is to game the system. But because of that, if you have that omnipresence, you're going to generate more client inquiries. It's just that simple. You know, like I've talked about, there's been a change, in search. People no longer look for bankruptcy lawyer near me and just look for that map pack. Not to say that they don't do it, because there are still people who are going to do that, and those maps are still important, and that's actually still something that we look at. And part of what it see in the maps does influence Google AI overviews. But really, they're now looking for more full-fledged questions like, will filing bankruptcy stop my foreclosure? If I file bankruptcy, can I keep my house? My car was repossessed. What can I get it back if I file a Chapter 13? They might be asking questions about the 910 rule, right? They might be asking questions about adversary proceedings, all of this stuff. So by answering all of that, you can now be in those featured snippets. And again, because people are picking that phone up and they're talking, they're asking, hey, Google, whatever it might be, it's not 3-4 words anymore. You need to really have those answers, and you need to structure content a certain way to get found. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. When we look at what the difference is between SEO and AEO, it really is night and day. In the past, we were focused on ranking websites for keywords. So your agency would give you a list of 150 keywords and show you, hey, you rank a position 3 for this, position 10 for this. Oh, we're only position 17 here, but we're moving up, or we're in 35, and you can see that stuff, it doesn't matter anymore, because it's not about a single keyword or even a topic. It's about answering very specific questions, and it's about answering the search intent of that question. And Google is able to determine the intent behind it, right? So one of the things is we want to pay attention to questions that have more commercial and transactional intent behind it. Who should I hire to file a bankruptcy for me in Boston, Massachusetts, is different than, can I keep my car if I file bankruptcy in Miami, right? One of those is looking for transactional. I know I need to file bankruptcy. I just need to know who to hire. The second is informational gathering. Maybe I'm considering it and I just want to get some information. And it's still important to be showing up in those informational searches, don't get me wrong. But that person is a lot higher in the decision-making process than the person who's ready to pick up the phone and have a conversation. So a big part of optimizing you and getting found for this stuff is making sure that you are answering the questions that are going to lead to revenue generating activity. And it's as simple as this, right? If you're in position 0, you're going to become the trusted source. That's going to generate more lead flow for you. So let's talk about the actual nuts and bolts. What do you have to do? Okay, so I basically have broken this down into a 5-step process here, or 6-step process. The first thing is we need to optimize our content for featuring snippets, which means we need to start answering questions in our content. That's at the highest level. So the first thing you're going to ask me is, well, that's all well and good. What questions do I have to answer? So the way that I go about looking at this is, let's leverage the data that's already there. What does Google think are relevant questions related to the main question? So if you go to Google and you go to the people also ask, and you put in something, question like, how much money can I have in my bank account if I want to file a Chapter 7 without losing it? Then what will happen is that information is then kind of put into Google, and Google says, okay, when people ask that, they also ask a question about, can I file a Chapter 13 if I have $10,000 in the bank, or whatever that connected question might be. And we can go levels deep. So there are 2 websites out there that are totally free that you can use to get these questions, and you can understand what you need to answer. The first one is a website called alsoasked.com. The second one is answerthepublic.com. Both of those will give you a roadmap as to what questions. The next thing that you need to do is you need to answer that question immediately. Top of the page, first 3 to 4 sentences of your content should answer whatever the main search intent of that page was. Do not give background information. Do not give information about why you are an attorney and how much you love helping people, right? What you want to do is simply answer their question. And then under that, why the answer is what it is. Now cite the facts. Now you're going to find there's going to be 5, 6, 7 related pages on your site that relate to that question you just answered. Internally link your content to each other so that you're helping the bots follow and basically set breadcrumbs to go from page 1 to page 2 to page 3, all talking about that same question. Try and keep this in kind of a very condensed section. What we want to do is we want to write with a big section heading, short answer, and then section heading, answer, section heading, answers. Don't create this long 800 to 1500 word, diatribe on the subject. Try and keep it easily digestible. Use bulleted lists, numbered lists, things like that. That is kind of step one, is just write your content so your page is optimized for the bots to want to cite. The second piece is, this is all about questions and answers, FAQs, frequently asked questions. So oftentimes you're going to exhaust a particular question, and at the end of it, you're going to say, there were like 5 or 6 little things that we didn't actually touch on here. Add those 5 or 6 questions to an FAQ at the bottom of the page, and then link those off to their own blog content on each of those questions. The other thing you're going to do, we're going to talk about this in another step, is we're going to add some programming behind the scenes to tell Google, to tell ChatGPT that, hey, this page really is an FAQ page. This answers questions. The third thing is you've got to be the trusted authoritative source. So this is where it's beyond just answering questions, but why your answer is more relevant and better than everybody else's. So you want to cite case law here. You want to pull industry statistics. So if you read an article in the ABA Journal, if you read an article in Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly or wherever you are, right, whatever the Lawyers Weekly is, then you want to pull that information and link over to it so that you are, you're not taking credit for somebody else's work, but you're actually showing why this is a good resource, this page. The other piece is, if you have been reviewed by people in your area for this exact thing. If I had someone who was $85,000 behind in their student loans, and I put them into a Chapter 13, and that Chapter 13 actually allowed them to pay that back over that 5-year period, well, actually discriminating against some of their other unsecured creditors. So, I did a great job for them. Somebody then writes a review about how I was able to help them. Take that review and apply it to the page about student loan debt, right? Because that's going to be very helpful. But on the other end of it, as people are actually reviewing you, that lends to credibility. That's that positive sentiment that we had talked about earlier. So the fourth piece, and this is actually one of the more complicated pieces where you may not be able to do this on your own. You may be able to, is you need to add structured data markup or schema code to the back end of your page. So essentially, schema is, think of it like a meta description on steroids. It's code that tells the bot what the page is about. Is it about how to do something? Is it, who wrote the content? We can write author schema. Was this a news article versus a blog article? We can tell ChatGPT, tell Google that stuff. Are there 5 other pages, other places? Like, did you do a LinkedIn post that answers this question the same way? Did you do a Facebook post that answers that? You can actually tell Google, tell ChatGPT, hey, all of these different pages that answer this question are all me. And it's all the same entity. So we use same as schema. Now, if you're using WordPress, a shortcut to do this is download the Rank Math plugin. Buy the pro version. I think it's like $59 for a year or something. And it will actually write the schema for you. It's just drop and drag stuff. If you're on a more advanced system or you want to do a little bit better schema than letting some software just created for you. Talk to your agency, talk to your web developer, just whatever web developer should know what schema is. The fifth piece, and this is where we leave what we're doing on our websites, and now it's more important about what's happened offsite on third parties, is you need to enhance brand mentions. The more your brand is talked about, the more in a positive way, the more likely you will start to get cited. So the best way to do this is, if I created a bunch of content about a subject matter, how about write a press release? It's not going to be salesy content. It's going to be something where, hey, there's this attorney here in Tampa, Florida, wrote a great resource about things that you need to consider before filing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and how to avoid adversary proceedings and challenges under 727. Right. So if you do these types of things, that's going to get picked up by authoritative media sites. And whether you use something like PR Newswire or Signal Genesis or whatever the PR distribution network you want to use is fine. That's a big help. Best thing to do is get a Wikipedia reference. That's almost impossible to do if you're not a massive company. But the next best thing is get people talking about you in Reddit, in Quora. And you can even cite your own, if you find a channel, you find something in Reddit where they're talking about the subject matter, and you answer it, and you say, as a matter of fact, there's actually an article at this page. And I would be very careful about not disclosing the fact that you wrote the article. You can very easily get yourself banned from Reddit if you try and be sneaky. Just tell people, hey, by the way, I did write a piece about it here. You can go check this out. You don't want to be salesy, but like I said, lead with value and then give the resource. And then the last piece, and this is something that most attorneys are already doing, is ask for reviews on Google. But beyond that, Google is only one place. The LLMs are not only looking at Google. Even Google's not only looking at Google. Go to Avvo, go to Martindale-Hubbell, go to FindLaw, go to all the different legal directories where you should have profiles. And if you don't, you need to get those profiles. Most of them have free ones. And then ask your clients to review you there. Because the more reviews you have, the more omnipresent you are, the more brand mentions there are, the better it's going to be, the easier it's going to be to get cited. And then the last part is engage with the actual AI platforms. So this is a ChatGPT screen you can see here. And we asked the question, can I pay only my student loans in Chapter 13 bankruptcy? And so we're going to get this answer here. And you know what? I wrote a piece about this, but I wasn't the one that was cited here. So what you do is you click the thumbs down. And then ChatGPT is going to say, well, why did you not like our answer? And you say, your answer didn't really provide me direction. It's interesting, though. I recently found this article, and give the URL, that did answer it. And this is why I found that article helpful. You have to tell it why that other article is better. Your article is better. And by doing that, you are now sending the bot off to your article to crawl. It maybe has never even read it. And now it's going to digest that content and it's going to consider it. Beyond that, you've given a vote to that. Now, if you can get 5, 6, 7 people doing this on different accounts, I want to emphasize this. Do not have 5 paralegals all on the same IP address do this for you. If you're going to ask them to do it, by God, have them do it at home. Do it on their cell phones, on their cell service. Make sure they're not in the same office building when they do that. That's easy to detect. So that's basically where we are. That's what we need to do. In terms of where we see AEO going, clearly more and more searches are going to be done via personal devices, via Alexa, Siri, and then on ChatGPT, on Perplexity, on Claude, on Grok, on Manus, on Copilot. There's so many from out there. It's just going to play a greater role in determining results. So essentially, my advice to you is this: businesses and law firms that adapt early are gonna be the winners here, because it's a whole lot harder to knock you off the top of the mountain than it is to climb up to the top of the mountain. So once you get there, as long as you continue to put out content, as long as you continue to build license, you continue to generate press releases and get mentions, you are going to be in a good spot. So I hope you found this helpful. If you would like, I am more than happy to jump on a Zoom call with anybody and basically to go through your online presence with you live. and kind of determine, hey, where do you rank? Where, and not so much where do you rank in search engines, but are you showing up? What questions does ChatGPT think that you're important for? What questions does Copilot think you're important for? What are your competitors doing? Where are they showing up? And we'll take a look at your blog, at your site, at your Google profile, at all the different places that you might be, your LinkedIn profile, and let's figure out what you can do to improve that. We call this our strategy called Totally Free. It's just my way of giving back to the community. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with me, you can scan the QR code right here or just go to lawfirmignite.com/contact. Again, my name is Mike Goldstein. I was a bankruptcy practitioner for 15 years in Massachusetts. I was a member of a firm in Maryland, in DC as well. Be happy to walk you through what we do, what we've done, and see if I can show you some things that you can do on your own. All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.